My name is Margaret Frances Mountjoy. I was born in Elkhart, Indiana on March the 12th, 1921. My birth mother died when I was 12 days old from an infection caused by a simple cut on her hand when she was peeling potatoes. And of course, at that time, they did not have all the wonderful drugs that they have now, and so she did not survive that illness. My mother's sister and her husband and the family were my parents after my mother died, and I had a wonderful childhood growing up with them. I almost had a built-in family, you might say, brothers and sisters who were actually my cousins, but they truly became my brothers and sister. I was working at the State House in Indianapolis, and I met this young lieutenant and almost didn't go on this date because a friend of mine had set this up. But when I came down the stairs, and these two young lieutenants were sitting on a couch there, and they just popped up like Jack in the boxes, and I just thought to myself, oh, I hope the one on the left is my date. And it was. And so that was the beginning of that relationship. And in about 6 months, he was transferred to Arizona, to Fort Huachuca. And so we were married there on August the 14th, 1943. His name, by the way, was Captain Leonard Sieber. And he had been from Nebraska originally. Well, while I was in Arizona and became pregnant with my first child, it was I was excited about it, and I hadn't really thought that we would have a child until the war was over. But my husband, Captain Sieber, said to me, if we wait until the war is over, you might not have my child. I've thought about that many times, whether he was not a person who was depressed or thought about death, but those were the words he spoke to me, and unfortunately they were very true. The baby was born, and he never got to see his son. But of course, I was able to get pictures over to him, and he did see the pictures. And then he was killed in January of 1945 in Italy. We did a lot of traveling. Maybe one of the most beautiful places at that time to me was a little place in Colorado. And we were in a motel, and I was sitting on that deck looking out over the mountains and the sky. It was just gorgeous. And so I announced to my husband, and I think Brian was with us at that time, I'm not going back to Indiana. I'm just going to stay here. And so the morning we were getting packing up, ready to go, my husband said, I thought you weren't going to go home. And I said, well, I'm only going to go home to get more clothes to come back. But it was such a beautiful place, and the mountains surrounded us. And as I was growing up, too, I was a great fan of Charles Lindbergh and the wonderful feat that he did at that time to fly across the Atlantic Ocean solo in a small plane. And then came Amelia Earhart. And I really thought she was a wonderful person. And I thought, I think that's what I'd like to do. Well, here I'm living in a little town in Napanee, and you don't just get to do your wants. But I was very fond of watching her progress as she flew and I am today. Still, whenever I see anything about Amelia Earhart, I read it. As we come to the end of this little interview, which I might say I've enjoyed very much, and it has brought a lot of things back clearer to my memory than I thought, I would pass along just simply what I said about my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, that it takes all of us together to think about what are we doing here? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? But I want to say to my family, whom I've had the privilege of being with for all these years, and more years to come, I hope, it's been most enjoyable. I have enjoyed every one of you more than I can say, and I have loved you all more than I can say. I think that's it.